I'm neocitrined out, so I'm really dozy. I could go to sleep right now. If I fell over, I'm done. I'm gone. Yeah, Robitussin, that's it. I've been pounding that like hell.
Here he is, one half of the team, Donnie and Dolly, weekdays on Czech Television.
Trade Center was like a bottle of Robitussin.
From 10 to 12, Canucks Insider, our Friday regular, the one and only Rick Dhaliwal.
Oh, let it out. I am thankful this deadline's over. What a draining week, guys. It was I'm not going to lie to you. It was a draining week. Just everything out of New York about Boeser and Miller and in Pittsburgh, and that drained the hell out of you for 4 days. And there was never anything there. And then I'm glad it's over. It'll be doubles tonight, not singles.
Yeah, you look tired. You sound tired. Get some rest this week.
Yeah, but Twitter drains you. You guys know this. You know where. Yeah, it drains you. It's a very emotionally draining space, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay. So what do you think happened here with the Canucks in Pittsburgh this week, Rick?
Okay, so to the best of my knowledge, Matt, look, we've all heard the phrase, where there's smoke, there's fire. Okay? So I'm not so sure the Penguins, there was talks. Pittsburgh, by the way, just so you guys know, Canucks and Pittsburgh have been talking for weeks. It wasn't just this week they picked up the phone for the first time. I've heard Pittsburgh in on Miller, Boeser, Demko, Garland, all those guys. You hear, and you know why, guys? Because Alvin and Scott Young know the Pittsburgh, prospect pool better than anyone else. I mean, they're a big reason why that prospect pool is there. So anyways, look, when it comes to JT Miller in Pittsburgh, I was told early in the week that, look, the Canucks want a centerman in return. They're not going to give Miller away, okay? They're not rebuilding. They have no up-and-coming centerman on the farm team. It was never going to be for draft picks. It was going to be they felt the second-line center had to come the other way. You already traded Horvat. You can't trade Miller for picks if you think you're making the playoffs next year, right, guys? So that was a lot. I texted the Penguins front office this morning, and I got a no comment about all this last week with Pittsburgh and Vancouver. Patrick Alvin just said in his news conference, one team reached out. And at the beginning on Miller this morning, and I said on the top of our show on Donnie and Dolly, two sources told me Carolina called on Miller this morning. So I believe that team that Alvin just talked about was Carolina. But his name was out there. Teams were interested. But the Canucks were not going to give him away. They wanted a centerman in return. But here's the problem, and you guys can help me with this. If you trade a player you just signed to a long extension before his new deal kicks in, that's not a good look either. I had a few agents reach out to me this week and say, why would I send a player to Vancouver, sign an extension, and they get traded before he gets to start playing on that extension? I know the circumstances with JT and his contract are a little bit different. He had no trade protection. JT Miller and his camp knew they had no trade protection. They knew this was a possibility. They knew it was, but he had no trade protection in the final year of a deal that he signed in Tampa Bay. So
players flake out on contracts all the time. Louis Eriksson got paid $1 million a goal. I mean,
I get that, but this is a new regime in Vancouver. They're going to be calling on July 1st to players all the time, and so do you want an agent to say, hey, you guys signed Miller for 7 years and then you traded him before the contract kicked in?
No question, Rick. No question, Rick. That's irregular. That probably makes things awkward with that agent the next time around, if not with more agents, or agents want to, they bring that to the table as a bargaining chip where they want a little bit more protection or going forward. No doubt that's not the best look, maybe a little uncouth on the Vancouver Canucks, but at the end of the day, I mean, agents, pick up your chin with your 10% or whatever you're making. 5. 5. You'll be fine. Rick, Ron Hextall was under an incredible amount of fire this week in Pittsburgh. Local media had at him. Fans had at him. I think it only got worse after they made the Granlund trade because he's not on a great contract going forward. And I'm not sure they necessarily relished being in rumors with the Vancouver Canucks. Is it at all possible that Pittsburgh just fired back with some misinformation and smokescreen this week just to kick the can back into Vancouver's end of the court on Miller and go, oh, you're not taking draft picks only for Miller, huh? Well, Hextall sits back and goes, yeah, now you know how it feels when you guys are leaking things about our interest in forces.
I was told. I was told on Wednesday the Penguins were not happy at all with all the leaks about the talks with Vancouver, and I don't think I don't think that it was the Miller rumors that bothered the Penguins as much as it was the Boeser rumors.
Yeah.
Because what I was told on Wednesday is Boeser was not even on the Penguins' radar.
That's it.
And yet.
And you're not the only insider on that,
yeah.
Rick. There were other insiders saying Boeser and the Penguins had never been a thing. Right.
No, and the reporter in New York kept saying Boeser, and I was told on Wednesday that Boeser was never on the radar for the Pittsburgh Penguins this past week, and that I was told Wednesday that the chances of Miller ending up in Pittsburgh, I was told on Wednesday, were less than 1% or 2% or 3%. I think I was told. It was there was talks, but I do not think those talks included Boeser this week. I think definitely there was smoke. There's fire with Pittsburgh, and for sure with Miller. But I did not hear anything about Boeser this week.
No. And the other thing we should say, sorry, Blake, just to It was good politics for Ron Hextall and the Penguins to say, oh, we took our best run at a local guy in JT Miller, but, the other team just wouldn't accept our offer. So you tie enough of that together and you wonder whether there was just a little bit of toing and froing shots across the bow between these two orgs. And, of course, with the Canucks managers having recently run the
Rick,
Pittsburgh.
on the suggestion that it was the picks, not a player, like the Canucks just picked up their second best defenseman with picks. Why didn't they get picks and then use them to get centermen like they just did with Philip Hronek?
Yep. That's these are all good questions you guys are saying. Let me just say one thing more on Miller and the Canucks' need for a centerman. Monday in Dallas when Miller didn't play, Canucks were 41% in the faceoffs that night without Miller. And Niles Amon, God bless him, played 20 minutes, but he was 37% in the faceoffs. Mm-hmm. If you're going to lose, if your top six, and Petey, by the way, Pedersen was 38%. If your top two centers are going to lose 37% of their faceoff, you're going to chase the game all night, and you're going to get outshot badly, and that's exactly what happened. When they tell us they're not rebuilding, that means they had told teams we're not giving JT Miller away and we want a centerman in return. Okay? So I get your notion about Philip Hronek. They gave up. My phone went crazy, by the way, when that trade was announced. So many people confused. And a lot of people were like capital letters WTF. Can I say that?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. You can say the whole thing.
Say the words.
No, I'm not going to swear. Capital letters, WTF
I know what this
is what
for.
I got. Anyways, but here's the thing on Hronek, and I'm going to tell you guys straight up. There's a big price to pay for top pair right shot D. They've been trying for over a year to get one, and he is hurt. He's week to week. They got nothing on the farm on the right side. Like, I'm just telling you guys, nothing on the farm. This franchise let Chris Tanev go for nothing. If he was here today, Chris Tanev would still be your number one right shot D, and you wouldn't have had to give up a first and a second for Hronek. So, you know what? They let Chris Tanev walk. They let Stetcher walk as UFAs, 2-3 years ago? Those guys could still be here, and they wouldn't have had the need and the desire to give up a first and a second. So, look, and the other thing is, guys, let's look at this from the Canucks' perspective. Look ahead to this draft. Yes, everyone's saying it's a deep draft, but it's a deep draft, and in the first round, there's a ton of centermen and forwards. Look at New Jersey got a right shot D at number 2 last year. That wasn't a scenario that is being – the Canucks probably looked at this draft and said, look, we're not going to get a right shot difference-making D in this draft, depending on where they pick. But if you look at the draft, a ton of the top picks are centers and wingers. So that probably factored into it. Yeah. And the fact that they're retooling and not rebuilding is exactly why they overpaid for that defenseman.
What do you think the urgency is this summer to deal either Boeser or Garland?
Oh, boy. I'm going to tell you something right now. Look, I was told on Wednesday that Boeser wasn't going to happen. The fact he played last night, common sense tells you. The fact that Miller played last night, common sense tells you. They were never close. They were never close this week to a trade with Miller or Boeser or Garland. And they tried on Garland hard. Garland, they tried. I know for a fact they tried hard on Garland. But, again, so you want to get rid of Garland, right? You've been probably trying to get rid of – have fun putting in a sweetener, because the only way you're going to move Garland is with a sweetener. And they just didn't want to add that in. So at the same time, you know what? They probably tried really hard on Garland, but they couldn't get it done. This week for me, guys, it was about Miller, Boeser, Demko, and Garland. Those were the four guys that, and obviously Myers, they probably tried poking around, but those were the big guys. Mm-hmm. Those were the names you heard out there. And so get ready. Hold on a second. Get ready now, because all four of those guys, you're going to hear it again at the NHL draft.
Yeah,
get ready for round four. Ready for round four.
Were they close on Garland, and do you know who was in poking around on Garland?
No, I do not know if they were close. I do know that they were trying. They were trying. They were trying to move Garland, and that could be a summer move. Absolutely a summer move. A lot of these guys could be summer moves. Myers probably going to have to wait on September 15th, and when his $5 million bonus is paid, and then it's a lot easier to move him. Hoglander got calls. Rathbone, I was told, this is what I'm told on Rathbone. I'm sure a couple of teams called on him too, but Rathbone, I think you're going to see down the stretch here. I think you're going to see them want him to get healthy in Abbotsford, play a good run of games, and then you'll get a good run of games in Vancouver. The problem with Rathbone and asking for a price from him is the Canucks don't know what to ask for on Rathbone, because they haven't played him at the NHL level. They don't really know what they got, right? Green wouldn't play him. Boudreau wouldn't play him. And, bring the kid up. Let him play some NHL games, and if you do move on from him, at least you have a better idea of what the market is and you can ask for it. But like right now, what would you ask for Rathbone?
No,
you don't know. He hasn't played at the NHL level.
Speaking of kids, Aidan McDonough update, because they didn't move on him, and you'd think that's a good sign, an optimistic sign on their part that they can sign.
Zero. Let me tell you something. There was zero. Let me write zero in capital letters of ever any thought of trading him. The Vancouver Canucks and the McDonough camp have been talking for the past 2-3 weeks. I reported this. Hold on a sec. Just hold on. I know you two. Nobody wants to get rid of McDonough more than you two. I'm going to tell you it's been positive. I get that feeling. I just get that feeling. No. Last year he didn't sign, and you two, the Sun, it was all doom and gloom. Listen to me. This guy is a guy the Vancouver Canucks want. Elvine went to Boston to meet with him. It's all positive right now. I'm not saying that he's going to sign, but I'm saying it's a whole lot more positive. I'm hearing the negative when it comes to McDonough. When you look at the Canucks prospect pool, it's obviously not great, right? So if I'm McDonough, and I'm looking at, okay, fine, I could be a UFA on August 15th, but Vancouver is one. It's the land of promise. The promise of land, whatever the quote is. You know what I'm trying to say. It's the land of opportunity.
Promised land or land of opportunity.
You mean the land of misfit toys.
Of all people, Henderson laughing at me. This knob is laughing at me in the background. Yeah. Land of opportunity is what I meant. Listen. If McDonough looks at it properly, he probably has a quicker chance of rising in this organization than 90-95% of organizations around the NHL.
Absolutely right.
I haven't heard anything negative about McDonough in Vancouver. I'm not saying he's going to sign.
I just hope they got a as lock solid a verbal commitment as you can get from the guy.
How can you get a verbal? Just Matt, I'm not trying to be a dick. How are you going to get a verbal agreement from him?
You say to him, look, if there's any chance you won't sign here, let us know now, and we will trade you to a team that you're more likely to sign with. Or
that's
tell
not
us
the way
right
it works,
now.
Matt.
Why not?
It's not
Why
the
not?
way it works.
Why not?
First of all, he's concentrating on hockey. I'm sure he's letting his advisor deal with the Canucks. He's concentrating on hockey. The decision comes after the season. Just wait and see.
It's
a yes or a no.
He knows exactly.
I'm just hurt that you guysed us.
Please.
Don't you guys us.
Please.
Me and Matt are different people.
You guys,
with all due respect to Northeastern, and I'm sure he very much wants to win these games and very much wants to win an NCAA championship. But, there's $800K awaiting this kid. If he signs,
here's the other one. I don't think the Canucks.
So tell me that isn't considered in any way, shape, or form.
I don't think the Canucks the Canucks are not putting any pressure on him for the deadline.
Okay.
They want to sign the kid. That's the feeling I get, is they want to sign the kid. They like the kid a lot. And
he'll dress this year then, right? They're going to try and get him in the lineup this year.
I don't know. I don't know if he'll dress this year, Blake. I don't know the negotiations that are going on. All I know is that they had a really good meeting with Alvin in Boston on January 7th, I think. And actually, the McDonough camp was pretty impressed with Alvin, from what I was told. So we'll see how it plays out. Guys, you guys are acting like he's a first-round pick. He's a seventh-round pick.
I know.
He's a good prospect. He's a big kid. He's a winger. And you know what? You bring him in and let's see how he does.
Yes.
If it happens.
All right, let's move on. That's obviously by the way, you can tell Ryan F.O. anytime you want, huh?
I tell him to F off during every commercial break.
I mean,
I tell him to F off 24/7.
He's stepping on our interview here, okay? I might tell him to F off.
He's a knob. Anyways, move on.
Hronek.
Let's go back to Hronek.
What's your set like? It came from out of the blue, and they didn't get protection on that first-round pick.
Yeah,
Rick, if it's 2024. Hey.
I hear you, but at the same time, I just said it, and I'll say it again. You know what? I'm going to say it again. The prices are high for right shot D, and they had to overpay. They overpaid. We all know that. This is like one thing we're not taking into account is Hronek's a pretty good player. It's not like this guy is a third pair guy and they just coughed up a lot. This is a guy they think they're going to play in the top pair. And the only thing that concerns me a little bit about is his contract status. And because we had a Detroit reporter on the air, and he felt that his contract is one of the reasons why the Red Wings got rid of him. Yeah. Now, the Canucks could qualify him at 5'2". He's got a year and a half left. But if you're Hronek's agent, are you not saying there's no other right shot? Doesn't he got the Canucks by the barrel? Like, I mean,
no, for sure.
My guy's the only right shot D you got.
Well, I mean, he's got to have a good year next year, but you're quite right. Yes, he's in a very good spot to get paid.
Very good
with
spot.
The Vancouver
the Canucks by the barrel in the land of promise.
Hey, hold it a second, and this is let me get this in too. That's the third first-round pick traded by the Canucks in the last 4 years. Their only first pick from the last 4 years, well, we got to wait for this year. Obviously, they do have a first-rounder, is Sekeres. And I think in the last 4 years, they've gone every draft without either a first or a second. Look, then you wonder why the prospect pool is so shallow. That's why.
Of course.
You can't, in today's NHL with 32 teams, you can't keep coughing up first, second rounders.
Yeah,
and their give a shit meter on that seems to be pretty low.
Yeah.
They don't seem to care.
No. Yeah. They're going to turn it around
because
without
you know
draft
why?
That's...
Because every year it's the 2-3 year plan. We're going to turn it around in 2-3 years. 2-3 years. We're going to turn it around 2-3 years. But look, they're going to keep their other first for this year in a deep draft, and hopefully they get
I sure hope
a good player. They have to. They have to.
Ricky, marvelous stuff. Thank you for this, buddy. We'll catch up next Friday.
Adios, amigos.
Make it a double tonight, huh?
A triple. All right, guys.
See you, buddy.